name is Andreas Diaz, aka Andreas Pro Culture Guy. Today, Will and I are back again for a spectacular, finally, Loki Season 2 podcast. Sorry about the live stream, folks. Just technical difficulties, as always, with technology, which is annoying, but whatever. We had to compromise as always. But anyway, so me and Will back again. Just a reminder, this is a podcast. This is going to be under Andrea's Pop Culture Talk, and then later I will transport it into a Marvel Plus Talk very soon. So anyway, Will, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, I'm taking over the world. I'm a time cop, apparently. What else? I prefer myself a time lord. A running joke from the show I've been doing for the last 6 months. And so just finished Loki season 2. So how about you? How's life?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been pretty good. My job has been picking up, and
That's good.
It's been good.
That's good. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. I know you said you cooked with your mom. That was really great. So
yeah,
that's very good. Just to iterate, yes, I know, folks. Well, Andreas, you did a weekly discussion on Loki. Yes, I did, but that was the other channel, MCU Bleeding Edge. I've been a contributor with them. I was invited to do the Loki. It's not my first time with them. I did Secret Invasion weekly as well. And yes, I did it. You can check it out, and you see my rating and my appearing on the 6 episodes during the 6 weeks it was airing. It was always on Fridays that we did it. But no, me and Will are here to discuss the in-depth of overall the season of Loki season 2, what we like about it, what we didn't like about it, and go from there. So Will, right from the start, what you thought about this season? Did it exceed your expectations, and how do you rank this in terms of Loki season 1 and the MCU in general?
Yeah, I did like it. I liked it a lot. I don't think it quite hit the highs of season 1 for me.
Okay.
I just felt season 1 felt a little more. What's the word? It felt like they had a stronger vision for like what the show was, whereas I feel like they were kind of trying to figure out how to deal with the consequences of the finale of season 1, and that the entire plot was kind of resolving that, which was fine, like it worked. But we missed some of the more fun elements of season 1. Like season 1, we had more time travel and space travel, and it felt a little more experimental, which I liked.
Okay. All right, I see what you're saying. I agree with you. I in a different way. So I really like this season. I fairly enjoyed the 6 weeks that I read collection and review it. It was I mean let's be honest. I don't like referencing the show, but like compare this to Secret Invasion, it was like leaps and bounds better than that show.
Yes.
And I was just shocked how just the quality of the production design, the score, the actor's performance. I mean, it was like very top notch. Like this is what a Disney Plus show should be.
Yes.
In general television, as we watch scripted ones. But yeah, I kind of agree with you about it. It's tough for me. Like I liked it, but it's not my favorite in terms of like I favorite over the first season as well for different reasons in terms of relationship of the characters. So like we will get into the nitpicks. Like I was very disappointed on what we did with Sylvie and Loki's relationship in the series. I get what they're trying to do, but I don't think it was successful as I think they thought it'd be. Um, and yeah, it was all about the consequences of last season, as you say, Will. Focusing on what happened with the finale. It almost felt like they were trying to reset themselves, and like it was like this season was like a hard reboot on this show, or in like the universe that Loki had exhibit. The TVA, Kane. When we get into like the Kane situation and all that. I thought they were really like almost like they were like simultaneously rebooting and also expanding their universe at the same time, which was weird. So, but yeah, so I thought it was a fairly great season that like made I think these two made Loki the TV show as one of the best MCU projects. Like combining these two seasons, like it's one of the best MCU projects. If I rank the Disney Plus shows, like this is going to be in my top tier, like MCU project. Like it's really up there, and that's very impressive. Like out of all the projects, I wasn't expecting Loki to be like this top tier. So, I thought that was very surprising. But yeah, so I guess like picking up from the season the season finale, I liked that we picked up immediately from the finale. That was something I was quite concerned. Like we were going to be stuck in this alternative timeline where, like, because we know from the was it the not the post credit scene, really the final season where the final scene of season one where Loki is talking to Mobius and Hunter B-15, and they don't recognize him, and I was worried if that was going to be played out in the whole season, and before he get back to his like regular friends from the timeline, but it wasn't that. Like it was only on one episode, and man, I was shocked how good the first episode was. Just picking up everything and like the time slipping, and like I was very impressed by how the first episode was. Like so fast paced, and like so like very much Back to the Future Part 2, where we got so like things coming up, like the time aura, because of the multiple branches, it cannot hold it. Like I was surprised how many episodes were like that was a setup for the bigger plot. Not to the next episodes. The time sleeping, I thought the time sleep was done, but we got back to it again in episode 4 and 5 and 6, which I was shocked that we got that back. I thought it was like a one done thing, which that was a surprise to me. And and just the aftermath of the TVA finding out that they're variants. They were taken from the timeline, and I was very happy that we dealt with that, especially with B-15 and Morbius. So, and it was great to see Casey getting more role, which was great, and he was very funny. But yeah, what you thought about the start of this first season, the first episode? Like it was incredible. What are your thoughts on the first episode?
Yeah, no, I also thought it started really strong. I liked all the time traveling, like the time traveling puzzle of the time slipping in the first episode. Just Loki slowly figuring out what was going on and how to fix it. I thought that was interesting. Then, as you said, it really set up a lot of things for later in the season. Very well as well.
Yeah, very impressive. Like I always thought like was it the fix like timeline that hasn't happened yet? Like it was really cool. And then by the way, folks, spoilers. If you haven't seen the season, do so before listening to this podcast. It was so great to find out that Loki was the one that threw himself. That was really cool, and I like that they paid that off because I was worried about like how they're gonna handle like the payoff of like how Loki got pruned. Like who was it? Who was it? And it made sense. It was Loki himself that did it. So
Hmm.
because it's a weird thing for time travels to do that like so successfully in terms of payoffs, and like that was for me a really great sign that they know what they're doing in during this season. Well, some of it we'll get into. Um, but yeah, speaking of our main character, Loki, Tom Hiddleston, man, you know how many years he's been doing this? 14 years.
Yep.
Oh my god, 14 years. Uh, like I mean, what 6 or 7 movies and 2 seasons of a television show? That's insane. Um, and I think this totally confirmed that Tom Hiddleston is Loki. Like he is the you know comic book actor for this generation after Hugh Jackman, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, Chris Evans, Captain America. Like he's like up there in terms of the top casting for any like superhero or villain performance. Like, and it's crazy to see him
Yeah.
from this far, from the first Thor movie and then to now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. What we thought about like Loki's journey here and like Tom Hiddleston's performance in this season.
Yeah. Well, I loved Loki's arc this season and in the first season as well of kind of figuring out um, not just what it means to not be like a villain, but what it means to be like a god in the way that kind of always thought of himself as, and like what kind of god he would want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tom Hiddleston's performance was incredible, and I would agree that he's like one of the best actors in these comic book franchises, because I think a lot of that is he's really passionate about the role. Like he sees it as complex. He sees that the character has a lot of depth to him.
Yeah.
And he gets deeply involved with the production as well.
Yes.
And you can see that passion in his performance.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you, if you will. Like, especially, if anyone doesn't notice this, but he is a executive producer of this series. And it's incredible that they were able, for me and you and like everyone, to convince us that there was more story to tell for Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there was a danger at the time before the show was announced. Like, what are you going to do with Loki after what you did to him in the original timeline?
Right.
And I was just shocked how first season I like how first season we deconstruct Loki as a villain, and in this season I like how we went back to what Loki wanted, what his true glorious purpose as a god, and he actually got that in this season as like he became the god of multiverse towards the end of the series, and like he has his throne now, which was like, oh my god, I was pardon my French, freaking out that they actually nailed that, and it was like so satisfyingly happened. Like he now has his throne, and he has now glorious purpose as a king, but in a different way. I think he was not expecting, but I liked it because he did it out of selflessness. Sort of like what happened to Thor. He became a good warrior / king. Like, well, not king, but like how do you say it? Like he became a word-free man after wearing, hubris after spending time in the Earth in the first Thor, and this is similar to that, but in a much grander and like sci-fi way with Loki, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I applauded that, and they nailed that. Like, and it just shows me that Loki is way more better character than Thor. To be sad to announce it, like,
I mean, the tricksters are always more interesting because they're not like the one note heroes. There's always like
that
that gray morality is always
Hmm.
more interesting to watch.
That's true. That's probably why we got like many Jokers because he's a fascinating character. um, and,
Yeah,
and
no, he's evil, but in a way that you don't see that often. Like he's
yeah,
chaotic. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's true. And same thing with Magneto. If you think about it, like he's differently from Loki, but like you understand where Magneto's at, and like for
Yeah,
instance, Charles, like his goal of mutant,
yeah. Like you
on
understand his motivation, even if you don't agree with his methods.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm very impressed that they did this with Loki, but it was there since day one in the first Thor movie,
Yeah.
and and it was very interesting how, like, particularly the first timeline. You could see in the first time, like he slowly accepted who he is. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's like I'm doing Fame War with the other channel. We're doing like a 2-part review,
Mm-hmm.
and it was refreshing because we did the Loki season 2. The opening before he gets killed. He says to Thanos that I am son of Odin's son,
Right.
if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
and I like how that arc was him accepting who he was as a Asgardian, and
Mm-hmm.
that he was part of this family, and like he was a good brother to Thor because of the setup we did with Thor 3. And I like how here this series we went back to like the question what makes a Loki,
Mm-hmm.
but getting him to the point of like he now knows what his true glorious purpose was, and this is what he wanted all the time. But in this such a much more selfish, uh, uh, empathy way for
Mm-hmm.
Loki to take that instead of just doing it in a very like evil way that he was doing at the beginning of the MCU.
Right.
So that was very impressive. Like the fact that we did 2 arcs for it. 2 arcs with 2 different Lokis, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think it was really good. Um, I guess what else we have to say with Loki? Uh, I I got it. You got the Norse god Easter eggs that they did, particularly at the end, because my host
Yes.
didn't know like the tree thing,
Yeah.
and
Oh
and
man, I was so happy when he tied them all together and it was Yggdrasil.
yes, yeah. Oh my god, I was like I was first time I didn't know it until I read it up, and I was like, oh, so that's what they did.
Yeah.
Um, and oh my god, this series, I love that. Despite the show is a like a Doctor Who kind of show, time travel, lobby, like
Mm-hmm.
theme, but they still remember that Loki is a Norse god,
Yeah.
and I was like that they always call back the biology of the Norse gods, like here and there, in the seasons, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
And what I appreciate, now, like this show did a really good job of, being self-contained, and like, I like how they didn't force to have like, like good, like a lot of people are, we'll talk about the ending, but like I kind of like we didn't have Thor here. Like we talk about Thor in the series, but I really like that the Thor and Loki relationship was already completed in the live action films. Here we see that he does truly care about his brother, particularly the first and second season. And like I like that we didn't force a way to like renew them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I really appreciate that. Yes, Loki. We love Loki and Thor as brothers, but I think that's been kind of really done. And I thought that their arcs were completed by Infinity War, and so I didn't think there was enough to really tell more with that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think they did a really good job of that, of not lying too much of the MCU connections, and particularly with the Thor franchise. I was very impressed with that. So that was really good. And I was so happy that they didn't do it because I like that they did self-contain with the series. But that will be a nitpick, which we'll get into. Um, yeah, so we like Loki. Tomlinson's great. I'll be sad to see him go. It seems like this is the final time we get to see Loki. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. We might see him again.
Okay.
I don't know. There could be some moment in whatever Avengers movie where they get to the end of time and they have to kind of change.
So you telling me he's going to be like what Rescue was in Infinity War and Endgame?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. That, see, if they did that, that is like a clever thing to do. Like, because like Rescue wanted to find true power when we saw him in the first Avenger, and then he did it, but he got stuck in eternal life, and Vermore, right, for the light, the Soul Storm. And here you got Loki. He's now stuck on a constant loop of controlling the multiverse, but he got the wish he got is being king of a throne. So that's be very cool. Okay, so I see you're very optimistic. My co-hosts were kind of optimistic they will probably see him again. I don't think so, because if they do the way what they did with Rescue, I'm fine with that. But if you're gonna make Loki like very active in these two new Adventures films, the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, you really need to have a good story for that. And I just don't want them to like pick up Loki, because I feel like this show is good. I don't want another writer. I mean, despite that recently Michael was it Waldron, the showrunner for the first season, is writing both Avengers movies. If you guys haven't heard that news, if he's gonna do that, then I'm fine. But I need to be very convinced if they have a story for Loki. But if this is gonna be the last time, I'm happy it's the last time. I think this season was a good conclusion for Loki. I mean, this second Loki, basically. It's because I don't know what else you can do with this Loki. I mean, like it's going to be like very far fetched and like ridiculous like Down Trail and Fast and the Furious, or like Doctor Who has become. But yeah. Okay, so I just want to address that, because we don't know what's going to happen with the MCU with the giant Avengers and all that, and the writer strike things done and actors strike. So let's talk about the cast briefly. Let's stick with the OG cast. They're great. I was very happy. Owen Wilson's character Morbius got a lot to do in the season. I like that we finally pay off his. Oh my god! I hate that I did this. Like, I forgot what his ski jets. His obsession. Ski. Yes.
Jet ski. Yeah.
Yes.
Or personal watercraft.
Personal.
Since jet ski is a brand name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right.
That's very true.
The joke that they kept making in the episode where they met his variant.
Oh yes, in episode 5. Oh
yeah.
My god, yes. Oh my god, when they got to that timeline, I was giddy, and him driving it like an action star. It was like, oh my god, this is happening, and then he's actually a salesperson for that product. It was really great. But yeah, well, we think about Owen Wilson. I love him. He's such a great character. We didn't spend too much time with him and Loki, but they didn't forget about the relationship of those two. Right. So I was very happy. What were you thought about his character in this season, Will?
Yeah, no, I thought he was good. I liked that we had that one episode where they went back to find Victor Timely. I liked that we got the buddy cop dynamic between Loki and Mobius again. And then I liked seeing him in his life on the timeline. And just like how that knowledge affected the Mobius that we knew. I thought he had good arc as well.
Yeah. Uh, I was like, I like how like how in like I like how we did deconstruct Morbius in this season. I'm
Hmm.
like, asking the question is like, did he check his timeline, which he did, and like, it was very fascinating to see him not like go back to this timeline. Like he's like moving on from that.
Hmm.
Like he knows who he is, and it doesn't change who he is. And it was very interesting, like how he accepted this timeline compared to others, in the TVA. And yeah, and I just dug his relationship with Loki. I was so happy they didn't forget about it. Episode 3 is actually my favorite of season 2 because of the buddy cop thing. Like I was so happy they didn't forget about that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So and there was again, Owen Wilson was a great actor. I love his comedic moments. My favorite is always the pies. Like I like how he always like chasing after pies. Like particularly in episode 2, there was like a pie recurring gag.
Hmm.
He goes to this random place and conveniently it's a pie thing. And then later, when we go to Sylvie's timeline of the 80s or 82 or something like that, I forgot the location, but like in McDonald's, he's gonna get the apple cider thing in McDonald's, and that was funny.
Yeah.
So and I like that they did the recurring motifs of the circles and food, uh, and motifs. So that was really cool. But yeah, so I think Morbius was really great. I kind of wish we spent a bit more time with his timeline and like get to know more better about his original timeline.
Hmm.
With the 5 people in episode 5, and because I feel like I understand the dramatic purpose of it, but like it wasn't enough for me to care about their like existing life. If
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I do. I would agree with that.
Yeah. And then conversely, when we moved to Hunter B-15, I was happy that Hunter B-15 got more to do with the season.
Hmm.
I thought the actress that plays her was great. She was definitely the MVP of this season, and I really loved it. I was happy that she, it was very funny. She was like a doctor in 2012. That was really interesting in the Thailand branch.
Hmm.
And I like that we got more her and Morbius together as a duo. I really dug their like thematic as a team up. So yeah, I thought B-15 was handled really well, and we didn't forget about her for this whole series. So she was really good this series. Anything to add on about B-15's character arc or her involvement in this season?
Yeah. I mean, I like that actress. I like her in everything I've seen her in. So it was nice to
Mm,
see her with a more prominent role this season.
yeah, I can't. Yeah, she's like in Luthor and Lovecraft Country, right?
Yep.
Uh,
And then she just had a voice role in Scavenger's Reign. I don't know if you've seen that.
okay.
This is really good animated sci-fi show. It's on
Ooh.
Max.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very good.
oh, I need to check that because not to subtract they to diverge from the topic, but I actually my one of my the host actually gave me his account for Max, so I'll probably check it out.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and maybe we could do a session podcast one day. I think that'd be kind of cool. So a section at business show with Brian Cox, and
uh-huh. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I love Succession.
that's good. Is it
Yeah,
because I seen clips of was it the Tom and Gray thing, and that
yeah,
cracks me up.
yeah.
But yeah, I do recognize her. She was in Black Mirror in the episode Playtest in season 3. I know you seen. I don't know you seen that show.
No, it was too much for me.
Oh really?
Black Mirror. Yeah, it's just
Oh,
it made me feel existential dread, and I couldn't do it.
oh my God. I can understand. I mean it's very bleak, and
Yeah.
there's some episodes that are not too bleak. And season 3 is great. if you go try San Cristo, it's a great episode. It's very like helpful. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I've heard that, but
yeah. I know, but I understand where you're coming from, though.
yeah,
And
no, I watched the first like 3 episodes and it's too much.
oh, the first season. Oh,
Yeah,
I skipped the first episode and I just went from there. So
yeah.
I just
Oh
avoided
man,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I feel you. Yeah. And last thing about the actress, it's funny. I did recognize her. I don't know if we mentioned this, but she's in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. Like,
Oh, is she?
yes, she's the witness from from Africa or you know whatever the continent of South Africa, and she was like being paid by Lex Luthor if you watch the Ultimate Edition, and she gets killed by KGB.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just lastly, she was in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, which I'm like, where? Anyway, really, very great film author she has. Yes, so then I guess like Casey, briefly because before we go into OB, because I think he's the major character I want to talk about. Any thoughts on Casey? I like he had like an extended role. He served like a comedic relief, really.
Mm-hmm.
I like the cool like I love in the timeline he's like a robber and
Yeah, he's
like,
escaping Alcatraz.
Alcatraz. Yeah.
That was good.
Oh man, that was so funny, and I love how when he was in with the the other TVA agents in the OB's science lab, and like he was asking questions how to use the time thing, and like he wants to go and steal
Just wants
something.
to rob banks. That's all I can think about.
Yeah, that was oh my god, that made me chuckle throughout the episode. Like, oh my god, this guy is just so crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and his interaction with like I love the writing guy. He actually read the handbook, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny out of all the TV agents, he's the one that read the handbook, which is it's funny. And yeah, and it was great with OB as well. I actually like his chemistry with OB.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get to do. Let's go to OB. So OB is our new character of the season. And it's played by Academy Award winner K Q Kwan from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Great film. Highly recommend that film as always. Another multiverse film, the best. I was very happy with Opie. He was my favorite character of the season. He was the MVP. His chemistry with everyone was great, like especially with Owen Wilson and Tom Henderson was great.
Mm-hmm.
Like he served the great purpose of like making this scientific jargon expedition so well that I was engaged and follow what he was saying, and but at the same time making it fun and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
I just love that. And I love how like in this weird way, like I like how his name reflected on the time travel mechanics what was going on in this season. Like the snake was biting its tail, and like literally everything, like Loki, like was it like no Truly Remains, like was the OB where he literally did eat his tail, because he had everything planned, and it was paralleling to what OB the Ouroboros meant. So I really dug how they use OB and the name Ouroboros in this show in such a like thematical way. What you thought about this character, and like did he see your expectation as a great character?
Yeah, no, I thought he was a great addition to the cast. Like he felt very natural with the rest of the characters. Like you said, they had good chemistry. Him and Tom Hiddleston, especially, I thought were a good pairing.
Yeah. I was very happy he had a lot of time with Loki. Just good. Yeah, and particularly, great funny moments. I really dug when Loki was time sleeping, and simultaneously the future Loki was kind of remembering what he was talking to Loki in the past.
Mhm.
Like that could have been worse, but like it was so great when how they edited it and all that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was just like the actor's charm, Like,
Yes.
yeah, he really sold that.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, and him explain like it was so funny. It's like sending the people out in the time aura, like
Mhm.
that cracked me up. Like he had to put tape on the suit when Morbius had to get out there to
Mhm.
catch Loki from that time in the time aura, and yeah, that was all funny for me when he had to explain things. So
Mhm.
it's pretty great. But yeah, I was happy Will be. I love that they were able to get him before he got other projects. So this was a good win for them.
Yeah.
And then moving on to another new character. This one was the major one we need to talk about right now is Victor Timely.
Mhm.
So I um I'm not fussy with Victor Timely. Um, I thought his character was okay. I think what was shocking was towards the end we got back to He Who Remains, and I just
Mhm.
think He Who Remains was the best variant of these Kangs we got. So
Yeah. Yeah, he was definitely the most interesting, the most intimidating.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I would have liked. I don't know. I think I would have liked to see more variants
yeah.
this
I
season. I also wish they would introduce variants that weren't played by Jonathan Majors.
I know,
But
I know. It's I don't know what's going on with the John Major situation. I mean, like I mean, it's weird. The court hearing is going, but it's taking long right
right,
now. It's like we haven't yet moved forward what's going on. I think they're getting still like witness or information. I guess. Um, I gotta say, this show did a good job of closing out Kane. If Marvel
if they
doesn't,
really want to move on, yeah,
yeah. So the flip side of it is that they have a way out now.
yeah. It's just it's been so weird to me that like the first season of Loki really established that a Loki can look like anything,
Mm-hmm.
and then Kang every single time is played by the same guy.
I know. I feel like this is just the inconsistent of their rules of variant means.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's weird. Like, this show is consistent but also contradict. We've seen versions of Loki that looks like Tom, but then especially episode 5, Journey into Mystery,
Mm-hmm.
these other different looking Lokis. So
Yeah, I
I
like. I think it makes sense if like maybe the majority of uh characters variants look the same, but they don't all
yeah
need to look the same.
yeah
Um,
yeah I know that, but well,
yeah,
the thing that's frustrating me is the movies. They're like
mhm,
continuing that the variants look like the actors, except with No Way Home.
right. And I guess we don't know who Reed Richards is going to be. That could change things. And they're going to recast Xavier at some point.
Yeah, um,
But
yeah. I'm kind of worried about that. I don't know if you've seen the Marvels. I
I haven't yet.
Oh, you haven't yet. Okay, I'm not gonna spoil the post credits thing then.
Oh, okay.
There's something that's related to X-Men, and it just throws. Well, I'm excited because of the actor, but it just throws kind of a confusion of like what we're doing with the X-Men.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, when you get to it's very shocking. It's weird. Like there's two scenes that like are post credit scenes, but there's one like there was one that is towards the end of the movie, and then we'll get to like the credits. There's a
Mm-hmm.
mid credit scene, and you don't have to stay behind. Will like you just
Okay. There's
yeah
nothing at the very end.
yeah exactly. And that's the one I'm talking about where that's the scene that like I'm excited, but it's also kind of worrying where we're going with the X-Men. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I agree with you. I like the option, and I don't know. You hear the crazy news that has been happening with Marvel. Like it's been a while, but the Variety thing leaked, and the articles suggested that I think Marvel Studios are thinking to replace Kane with Doctor Doom.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
Um,
Again, I don't think that would be
Not good.
a good idea,
No.
especially when the multiverse makes recasting so easy. But
Yeah, I I don't know. I like there could be a way you could make Doom for Secret Wars, but
yeah, but
yeah, but
it would feel weird to build up this threat for several movies and TV shows and then just kind of drop it.
yeah, they have to do the way they did it with Thanos, or like the way they did with Loki for Doom. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
make him the bad guy, but not make him be the overarching bad guy. Like make him like sorry what they're trying to do with like Kane, but like better. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like he has to be the like the Blowfield for the MCU. Like that's
Yeah,
how Doom is operates sometimes in the comics. That he's
right.
always behind the scenes. You know, like the classic Bond villain of Blowfield. Like like yeah, we know he's there, but like he always doesn't come out front on like some of the villains. So, but we'll see. I hope they will recast Jonathan Majors to a different actor. That's my
Mm-hmm.
hope, because they cannot like I know I say that they got out, but it seems like they're pushing on with this multiverse saga. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like next year we got Deadpool 3, and that's a multiverse thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's up to them. So but yeah, so yeah, I wasn't impressed with Victor Timely. I just thought he was a like it was interesting. It was a very interesting thing to see how he is compared to the other Kanes we see. Like he still
Mm-hmm.
has that cool thing of the Kane Conqueror for Ant-Man 3. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I it was interesting. Like this was kind of interesting because he doesn't like to have share power and responsibility with someone. Like
Mm-hmm.
he didn't want, like, especially with how he treated the people in the fair, and especially Rainslayer. It's
Mm-hmm.
very interesting. Like he is a very power hungry person. He only trusts himself. That's why I'm trying to get out here. He trusts himself, but not everyone around him.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very interesting scene, and it makes sense, particularly with Ant-Man 3 and in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's the thing. But yeah, when we got back to Hero Remains, I was like, just make him beat the King. Like, I don't need other versions of Kings. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I think as long as you make them as like intimidating as that version, then
I
it's fine.
yeah, I seen that good, like Doctor Who with the Master, but
Yeah.
I uh, but the thing with MCU is like well, it's just maybe because Ant-Man 3, I didn't like that Kane got defeated so easily.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. The way they did
Yeah.
it was just wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way you could make it work is just have him be defeated like
Mm.
easily, kind of over and over again. And the thing is, like the scary thing is that he doesn't stop coming. That's kind of
Mm.
like doing the Doctor Strange Dormammu I've come to bargain bit, but
Ooh,
it's like the
okay.
villain doing it to
To
the
the hero.
Avengers. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that I will definitely like to see with Kane, because because they cannot stop him. They sort of have to do what Loki did this season, where he needs to find the third option to stop
Right.
Kane. You know,
Yeah.
it's by not following his pattern, is by breaking off and like do your own thing. That's what Loki did this season.
Mm-hmm.
When he find out that he's been somewhat controlled by Huey Remains. Um, and speaking of the person that I just brought up with Kane, Rainslayer, um, I like Rainsayer. I love their interact. Like, by the way, Miss Minutes, very creepy creature. I was,
Yes.
the reason I love episode 3 is just like, wow, we went far with Miss Minutes. Um, I, I, I was like, I was kind of scared when she started to animate herself to look like a real, like when she put her face in that was it mannequin? I was
Hmm.
like, okay, that's just very creepy.
Yeah. Yep.
That was nightmares for me. And by the way, Tara Strong, great actress. If you don't know who she is, and she was another great actress that was highlighted this season, which was great.
Hmm.
Yeah, I liked what we did with Slayer and Miss Minutes, but I felt like I wish we did more with them. I
Yeah.
mean, like, what's your opinion? I felt like we needed to know about them, and then the fate of Slayer was kind of interesting, just like the Kane situation right now. It was
Hmm.
very open ended. What you thought about Slayer this season and what they did with her?
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought it was like interesting to explore her relationship with Hang. But I thought I wasn't sure if like throughout the season I wasn't sure if they were gonna have her like fully join Kang because I know that
Mm-hmm.
she's like his right hand woman in the comics. Um, or if they were going to like because you know you have such a great actress playing her, if they were just going to have her kind of replace Kang,
Yeah,
and then they ended up not doing either of those things, but still also leaving the door open to both
yeah,
of those, and it just kind of felt like she didn't go anywhere by the end of the season.
yeah. I agree. And yeah, it was so weird. Like, yeah, I brought this up with the show when we did the weekly discussion. When we got to episode 3, we brought up that I think if they were not going to continue with Kane, like Slayer as a major villain could be potentially interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she could, like I thought she could be a variant of Kane, like a
Right,
female version.
right, yeah.
And of course, they didn't do that. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Um, and then especially at episode 4, right? She saw that recording that Miss Minutes show her, and that was very interesting. Like, I think there's potential for her to be like a major bad that's fighting against King. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like this, actually do a better job with the scroll versus Kree thing, or um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. By the way, that is not working at all in this MCU. This scroll war. I, I,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's another hint from the Marvels. But anyway,
Okay.
uh, but it's a fun movie. Marvel's great.
Yeah, no, I heard
Was it?
I had a friend recommend it, and I trust his judgment. So,
Yeah, it, I mean, it's better than all the DC films that came out this year, except Red Bull Beal. But I think it's better than that. But I cannot put it over Ant-Man 3. At least like they have a better villain in that movie than the Marvels, unfortunately.
mhm.
Anyway, as always with these Marvel movies, but yeah, it was just weird. And then Count Family, and this is where I want to get into the nitpicks of the season right now. But like, it was kind of weird. We got this general Docs and Brad thing. Like they were
Mhm.
other antagonists, and I wish we spent time with them because it was an interesting dilemma with the TVA, and like
Mhm.
they were trying to find out what was the purpose of their joining the TVA, and I felt like it was just for one episode really.
Right.
So, and why we need Brad? That was another thing. I was like, why we need Brad?
That
Like,
was I was so confused when I was watching episode 2,
yeah,
because there was nothing really in episode 1 that suggested that that guy was like shaken by the discovery that he was a variant.
yeah,
And then episode 2, um, he's got this whole other life on the timeline, and like his hair was completely different, so I like didn't even register that it was the same guy until later in the episode, and I was like, oh, that makes more sense.
Uh,
I was like,
yeah,
why are they talking like I should know who this person is?
yeah, yeah. I know it was so bizarre, and it was like what was it like episode 5? No, 4 when Loki pruned Rainslayer and like we left him there because Sylvie controlled him, like
Mm-hmm.
enchant him, and then that's it. Like we didn't get any like open questions on like what happened to him. So it was just a weird new addition to the character. But
Yeah,
and this is something we need to get into. Like, despite I like this season, this really shows that like I think that they could have easily done like a 12 or 10 episode run for this season. I feel like
yeah. No, it felt like they had a lot of ideas they wanted to explore, but they were kind of constrained by the overarching plot of the loom kind of exploding and all the timelines branching
yeah,
and having to like tie
yeah,
everything together. Um,
yeah. I I mean I'm very impressed that they were able to hold all that together for a season.
mhm.
Like it's glaring of these plots they have, but I was surprised that didn't detract my enjoyment of this show.
Yeah,
You know,
no, yeah. I think this is why I prefer season one
yeah,
ultimately because I feel like season one does everything it set out to do. Um, but season two still stuck the landing. Like they still do a good job of telling their story. They're just it just feels like they could have explored it even more.
yeah, yeah. I mean, first season was very tightly written as like a single season. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this felt self-contained, but like I think that last season was more self-contained than this season.
Yeah.
So, sorry speaking that. And then besides that, excuse me, sorry again. We got Sylvie. So let's get to her, and this is what I mean. Like another like um I was disappointed how we didn't spend time on Rainslayer and Morbius relationship. Like we got briefly on that in episode 3,
Mm-hmm.
but I was shocked how underutilized and underdeveloped that Sylvie was this season. And and I think she was like the worst character this season. Like I don't know. I'm trying to remember last when we did our Loki season 1 discussions. Like, what was your opinion on the character? Do you like her? I
I
mean,
think I liked her. Yeah.
okay, okay, because one co-host didn't like her. My other friend uh, that gave me the mask, like he really liked Sylvie, but he was disappointed how we did to her in this season. What are your thoughts on Sylvie this season? Was I I don't know. It's like I was
Yeah.
someone.
No, I thought she was underutilized.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I felt like part of the problem with her, or that people had with her in the first season, was that
Mm-hmm.
she caused a lot of problems,
Yes.
and then didn't do much to fix them.
Yeah.
And I feel like second season she was still causing a lot of problems, but the show is like
Yeah.
pointing that out more, I guess.
I don't know. Like I feel like they were like she was on the right, but not on the wrong. Like it was like
Yeah, yeah.
like
I don't like the entire season kind of centered around like her deciding that she wanted to kill He Who Remains, kind of
yeah,
set up everything that happened, and like set up the multiverse ending.
yeah,
So like everything was kind of on her inability to kind of entertain um, what He Who Remains was saying.
yeah. I get that. For me it's like I feel like um I brought this up in the show in the discussions I did in the MC Bleed that she wasn't proactive at all in this season. and
Mhm.
like she didn't took the seriousness of her actions after season one, what it could potentially do to other timelines,
Right.
you know. And I guess she wants free will, and we hit, free will is a big theme in this season,
Right.
and I think they did a good job with the characters about free will, but with Sylvie and Loki's like discussion of free will was just so forced, and I feel like yes, I get you want your free will, but like you need to think about the consequences of the livelihood of these timelines and like the potential danger that now the TVA and everyone are of any branches are facing now, right?
Right.
Instead, you just want to hide, or like not hide, but like settle down, which is kind of weird.
Well, it's kind of hiding.
You think she anxiety?
Yeah.
I, I
From the responsibility of what she did.
yeah,
But
yes, I guess it's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I wish they
Uh,
did.
she was very stubborn,
Yeah,
and then ironically, her like choice to give everyone free will, um, took Loki's free will away because he didn't really have a choice but to do what he did at the end of the season.
oh yeah, it's true. Yeah,
Because like if he didn't do it, then everyone would die.
yeah, but yeah, 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 I feel like she should have tried harder, um, to stop Loki and or like I think one of the situations that I think people didn't like they brought up that they don't like about the season is they forgot the relationship of Loki and Sylvie's relationship from last season,
Yeah.
and like they didn't like it was weird how they didn't really want to focus that this season, and so she was like an afterthought, and I like if you think about it, I think you could have added this another dimension of Loki about kind of like Thor, but done right is like his love to
Mm-hmm.
someone, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
like like I get the Jane and Thor relationship is not good, but like I think by Thor and Love and Thunder, I kind of get it. How important that relationship to Thor is to Jane. Like I thought Taika Waititi did a good job with that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something we haven't done with Loki. Like we get his more like family love, like Frigga and Thor. But
Mm-hmm.
what about him and his love? And that was the fascinating thing about Sylvie. And because someone like he didn't like that, like Loki was in love with himself. But then I
Mm-hmm.
liked that because that was fascinating. you know?
Yeah. No, it was like an interesting window into his psyche. But the only
Yeah,
person he can really like connect with and love is a variant of himself.
yeah. And you think about it, like if Sylvie realized that she too had to sacrifice her free will to join with Loki, then that ending could have been much stronger. And like,
Yeah, no, it could have been a
you
more
know,
interesting ending, almost, if he kept having to go back to that moment with He Who Remains,
yeah,
and the real solution would be to like talk her out of it,
hmm
like talk her out of killing him, and then they take over together.
yeah, 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 and then they make the decision to do it together as as a team, and like,
They give up their free will so they can give everyone else
yeah,
free will.
exactly, yeah, for real. And I think that could have been like a good ending for both of them. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it, it it didn't do that, and I don't know what to say about her ending. With, I mean, I guess she truly now has a free will, and
Right.
she can go anywhere. But I'm not against to see her again in the movies. Like I still
Mm-hmm.
like Sylvie. I hope they could do something with her and maybe fix her character, like redeem her.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing. Um, let's wrap up. I think that's what else we have to bring up the supporting will before we wrap up. Um,
I don't know. I mean, I think we mentioned all of the character arcs, which I think were
Yeah.
the biggest thing. I did really like the finale, the structure of the finale, and how
Yes.
Loki had to solve the problem
Yeah.
by like sort of Groundhog Daying himself.
Yes. I was so happy that I theorized it could be like a Groundhog Day
Hmm.
finale, and I was so happy they did it. And I was like, yes, they're doing Groundhog Day, and it was so great. And then after he gets used to controlling the power, he does this kind of like he now is the Time Lord of time, and that's like so incredible.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I was so shocked. Like the finale is one of the best finales of the Disney Plus shows. I
easily. Yeah.
is yeah, like I was so shocked how well it was done. It was well directed.
Hmm.
Um, and the score. We didn't read up the score
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yes.
I think this is the best MCU scores, for none, like top tier.
Yeah, it's up there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's really great. Yeah, I was concerned. This is something we briefly discuss like right now is like I was worried about the change of crew, and it didn't hurt the show. Like it seemed like you know these new people cared about the show. Like they did a good effort to it.
yeah, it still felt consistent with season one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I was really worried about that, because
Hmm.
sometimes you don't know if they'll be successful now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the finale was crazy. I mean, like again, compared to Secret Invasion, like this looked like an actual like like series. Like,
Right. I mean, the nice thing about Loki was always that it had its own like kind of visual style.
yes,
Like so much of Marvel just looks exactly the same, but
yeah,
like Loki really had its, like a unique aesthetic and vibe. Um,
yeah,
so it's just fun to like watch that for
yeah.
an hour every week, where it doesn't feel like stale.
Yeah, I agree. Also, I want to bring this up because it was very interesting to hear this from was it a video I saw yesterday or something like that. With the variety and I don't know if you heard this book, The Reign of Marvel Studios. I heard that's really good reading. And they like gives you the in and out what was going on with Marvel Studios from
Hmm.
Iron Man to now. Um, Apparently they have a new community that's been doing these ridiculous reshoots and changes in the Phase 4 called the Marvel Experiment. That's what they call it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's similar to the Marvel Community that was there for the first two phases.
Hmm.
But instead of comic book writers in the community, this is mostly executive producers like writing into these productions. Um, Apparently, this was the least affected from them. Like there was no interference by the Marvel like department. Just maybe one
Okay.
night. Yeah, like
It's yeah. I'm
yeah,
just wondering if that's like because they knew it was good, or if it's good because they didn't interfere. You know.
I don't know. Like the writer the new showrunner that's running this season, he said that there was like less interference by them from the show. Like it seemed like
Yeah. I'm hoping it's because they trusted the people making it to make a good product.
yeah, or it's just that there's so many product they're doing that like they're unable to supervise Loki,
Right. Yeah.
which it happened. I mean, like well, like the like example is like when like the first Iron Man movie came out, like Paramount and like everyone that was working on it, like they were unsupervised and like they were allowed to do the movie that made Iron Man special. But when they got to Iron Man 2, everyone was hands on because of
Right.
the world building and all that. And that's how Iron
Yeah.
Man 2 is so weak, you know.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it's very fascinating to hear about this, and unfortunately with Secret Invasion, it got reshoot by 4 months. Like, apparently it did had to reshoot itself for like 4 months, and you could tell. So, like, it
Yeah.
was. storyline.
No, I'm worried about Daredevil.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I'm safe. Like, I think fixing it now. Like, if Kevin Feige is doing it, then I'm fine. But I am a little worried about that. But
Hmm.
we gotta see. We have to wait and see and how good is the product. Um, yeah, but I'm shocked the Echo trailer looked great. So
Yeah, I did.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, any last things to say, Will? Besides Loki season 2, I think it was a good season.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I mean, if you guys are slightly under the rock or whatever the phrase is, yeah, this season was great. Me, Will, highly recommended. We're not saying we're gonna come back together on another future podcast. You just have to wait. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Will, buddy, thank you so much for coming. It's been a blast talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
And want to thank everyone, the subscribers for supporting me, and of course, in the MCU Bleeding Edge community. Check out the content I do, and yeah, tomorrow I'll be back again to do the Infinity War Part 2 review on Wednesday of the 29th, and then this Friday, in the 30th, I'm going to be doing a movie review with them on the Truman Show. So that's going to be exciting. So, yeah. So anyway, thank you everyone. Have a good night. Bye bye.